Oh, goodness. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to another scene from the living world of darkness, Rage Across New York. This scene will be set in the Sept of the Green at the Seeker's cabin, more specifically at the Silverfang Salt Forge, the porch, copyright TM, whatever the fuck, where it seems like Balian and Aiden are having brunch.
Yes, as Tim Pointer arrives at the salt porch, she notices that a small table with a white linen tablecloth has been set up, two place settings with the good china and the good silver on the table. A couple of kinfolk are in attendance, and seated in two chairs are Balian and Aiden. They are currently enjoying a nice brunch breakfast with a lot of meat. Pretty much every type of breakfast meat you could come up with, including a couple of that necessarily aren't meat. They each have a porcelain cup and saucer of tea, of course, and then they have a champagne flute with a mimosa as well. They are both in like a dark silvery gray bathrobe. It's fairly fuzzy, looks fairly comfy. For those that would know, there is a gleaming eye, house gleaming eye symbol embroidered on the pocket. And they are both wearing interesting slippers. They are literally cartoon reindeer slippers with the antlers coming up off the top and little red noses on the ends. And they appear to be having a nice brunch together at about 11 a.m. on this nice late spring New York morning.
Yeah, Aiden has a big bashful smile on his face, enjoying his meat and enjoying the comfiness of those slippers.
You're just a travesty. I want you to know that. But yeah, so 10 Point will make her approach to the steps of the porch. And once she's gotten right about to the base of the steps, will, as a matter of course, just go ahead and, again, with a kind of practice that only comes with, well, practice, she just pitches down readily into a roll onto her back and waits there while they have their brunchies.
Bailey just looks over to Aiden. Was it cooked to your satisfaction?
Exquisitely, Baden. Exquisitely. Taste more of it in his mouth and just smiles.
Yes. Wilhelm has been with me for many years. He is an excellent chef.
He's pretty good, yeah. Kind of nods,
He'll after literally letting her lay there for a few minutes, he'll kind of look over and you see him kind of pulls a leg under the table and he's like almost looking at her over the top of the slipper. Good morning, Omega. I'm assuming that you're not laying on your back and enjoying the sun for no reason.
Good morning, Raya. And no, I wish to speak with you briefly.
After taking a few more bites, he will just kind of say in that direction, I hope this news will not ruin my appetite. That would be unfortunate.
Is she suddenly looking a little more tense? She might be a little more tense because I don't know how keen one can sense Silver, but god damn it, he always brings out the good Silver when there's company. I shall hope not, Raya.
He just kind of looks over at Aiden. It would not be against your digestion to have it speak while we eat, would it?
No, I think it can manage. We can manage our stomachs while it speaks. I think he just nods thoughtfully.
Looks over. Proceed.
Raya, I have been informed that the bow that was granted to me supposedly by spirits was, in fact, lain there by William White Yuff. And it was he that sent the spirit to bring me to it, influencing my actions somewhat.
And with this, you'll notice the fork that was headed towards his mouth pauses.
Ain't no dude, but that's none of my business, T-Sip. You know what I mean?
The fork will go back to the plate. He'll reach down to his lap and pick up his white linen napkin and just kind of dab his mouth. This wouldn't be... What's the word? It's a word that I never use. He kind of looks over to Aiden and looks back. An excuse, would it?
Of course not, Raya. I am still responsible for my own actions.
Ah. Then he goes back to... He literally picks up the fork again and pops the bite of his mouth. Proceed then.
I had hoped to ask your permission to speak to him on the subject.
I see. And what is the purpose of your speaking to him on the subject?
As I have informed my Rayas in the past, William White Yuff thinks himself very forward-thinking and very kind and very doting to the Metis. Meanwhile, perhaps had I not believed that the bow was a gift from the spirits and conveyed some sort of favor, I may not have ended up with scars across my back, a fact that I am sure will bother him deeply, Raya. I wish to make a point.
I see. Very well. However, I do have one stipulation.
Yes, Raya?
Take Jacob Raya with you. And a slow smile creeps over his face as he looks over at Aiden, kind of over the top of his teacup.
He just sips his tea and smiles warmly, you know.
And while she may perhaps show some faint sign of surprise, she will of course give the autopiloted yes, Raya. Oh my god. You're a terrible person.
Was there something else?
And she'll glance vaguely in their direction, and after a thoughtful pause, we'll finally ask, ever so innocently, of course. I hope you still have the bag, Yuff.
Ah, yes, I do. I'll be back in 1 minute. When he gets up and the slippers, the fucking nose lights as he's walking, away. As he's walking down into the cabin. And
the antlers flop appropriately, of course.
yeah, as well.
And just for lulz, during that brief interlude where he has slipped inside, 10 Point will again very innocently state, I have learned the rite of contrition, Raya, to ease his way.
Balian pauses. Fork goes back to plate. Napkin comes back up. Wipes mouth. Turns slowly. Crosses his legs so that both slippers are now pointed at her.
Oh, God.
Leans back into his chair a little bit. He places his hands kind of over his stomach in a very content, relaxed gesture. Exactly how many times do you think that one of your birth can perform such rites to make up for itself?
The rite of contrition, Raya, is meant primarily for spirits. I thought perhaps to ease the parting from the previous totem. I make my apologies to Guru personally and properly.
So you intend to use this rite to appease the spirit of... He kind of looks at you, kind of doing that.
I believe it is Otter, Raya.
Ah, I see. Proceed. He kind of makes a literally a dismissive gesture with his hand, as if like, oh, it's just Otter. Yeah. And he turns back to his lunch. However, you can tell that he has purposely kind of left both legs to where the feet are not under the table anymore. And he's kind of tapping one foot with the other one, almost like the one reindeer's beating the crap out of the other one under the table.
Damn it.
Eventually, the Aiden would walk back in with a bag, and he'd sit down and take a long sip of his tea, and look up at Balian. I have a gift for you.
There's a definite look of skepticism in his eyes for a moment. And he says, really?
Aye. It's sort of like a thank you for taking me in.
Fork goes to table. Napkin goes to mouth. Then is placed on table. Chair goes back. Very well.
He'll get up awkwardly, and he'll walk over with the bag and just gently plop it in Balian's lap.
Bailey will, there's be a definite raising of an eyebrow, and then he'll open the bag and look inside.
What was the again, Katie?
It is a CD case with a disc in it. There is a thumb drive, and there is also a potentially familiar SIM card, if he even knows what the SIM card to his old phone looked like.
He probably didn't.
Probably not. But there's a SIM card in there too then. Crazy that.
Aiden will very calmly say, when you're in that place again, I made sure that if anything's damaged, it's permanent. You can always remind yourself. And smile awkwardly.
Remind myself that the Weaver exists. All I see here are technological
Look at the
items.
tape. You can go put on the CD case if you want.
And what would I see?
You just smile awkwardly, like, God fucking damn it. And that girl I saw, that meant so much to you.
His eyes, and it'll be just for a second, but his eyes will kind of flash a haunted look for a second. He'll kind of look back in the bag. Then his eyes will kind of slowly come back up to Aiden. I see. A royal gift indeed. You have my thanks.
Puts his hands on Balian's shoulder and squeezes, leaving the awkward look simmer for a bit, and we'll sit down then.
Bailey will stand up and he'll look towards one of the kin, and he'll say, "Let it be known And you kind of stay for a second. He'll look over towards 10 Point. And then we'll make sure that she's paying attention, and we'll raise his voice a little bit more and say, let it be known that Aiden Lynch is now considered family, with all the rights and privileges that go along with that, by House Kraus. Within the house, Gleaming Eye.
He does the big bashful smile. Blushes as well.
He looks at his kinfolk. His word is as mine. The kinfolk kind of get this look on their eyes like, oh, shit. And then they nod. And Bailey will hand the bag to one of his kin, who will kind of take it almost reverently and then kind of disappear into the cabin. Bailey smiles and he'll reach out and kind of pat Aiden on the shoulder and say, continue with our brunch.
Yeah, that's a mighty honor you've after given me, Bailey. He kind of he's like, what?
He kind of looks and says, it's the least I could do for the service you have just done me.
Just helping a friend. He kind of smiles awkwardly.
He kind of raises his eyebrows and kind of like that, oh, no look, and says, friends no more. Family now.
Family, aye?
He smiles.
Aiden blushes.
And he'll gesture towards the other seat, and he'll actually reach out, and he's almost about to grab the mimosa. He frowns at it, and he turns to his kinfolk and says, whiskey, 2 glasses, now.
Meanwhile, 10 Point's looking so satisfied. Innocently at the sky, of course, but looking deeply satisfied.
Actually, he didn't click his fingers. Oh, one thing. 10 Point was there with me. I've handled the kinfolk problem with the Kelly family. About their implication.
Ah. This was the family that had the kinfolk that was killed?
No, this is the family that the Metis associated with. They fed him scraps.
I see.
The father kindly offered 2 of them under my service, and the whole matter, well, it will be kept quiet. No Fianna blood needs to be spilled.
Very well then. I shall let it be known amongst the Philodox, should it be needed.
I and 10 Point was there to witness the whole thing, and Jacob Raya seems to have a trusting relationship with her. He has this wicked grin. I know what I did.
There's a definite quirk of a smile there, and just a slight nod with a kind of side eye towards 10 Point. Yes. After a few minutes, the kinfolk will come back out with 2 crystal decanters with whiskey in them, and Balian will take one of each, and then he'll look towards Aiden. It's tradition for momentous moments to be toasted. It is also tradition that on the event of these momentous occasions that the lords of the manor should provide for those less fortunate. And his eyes kind of turn towards 10 Point. And he picks up one of the steaks from the table on a plate, walks over himself, and places it on the ground beside 10 Point. And then walks back over towards the table.
certainly looks somewhat surprised, though she stays very obediently on her back as she has been given no gesture, even though there's a steak right there, chilling. It's even on a plate. He didn't just like pitch it at her on the ground. Unheard of.
Tradition is something that has held this nation together for centuries. Tradition must be upheld. Family has upheld tradition. Therefore, family is the pillar of the nation. And he'll raise his glass towards Aiden and say, to family.
To family? And he'll raise his glass.
And Bailey will drink his whiskey. And then
Aiden will drink it.
And then he'll look towards 10 Point and say, rise, Omega, and eat and toast my family.
And of course, she is promptly upright again. She's really good at that whole up and down thing. Is there anything to drink anywhere in her vicinity?
There's the steak.
No, there's that. It was just like, and toast, and she's like, So yeah, she definitely goes for the steak.
Yeah. One of the kinfolk will kind of gesture, kind of come close to Bailey, and Bailey will kind of turn his head and look at him, and he'll kind of raise his and he'll nod, and a Dixie cup is brought from inside with a little bit of brown liquid in it, and it's passed over to 10 Point.
Thankfully, she's in Kranos, so yeah, she doesn't have silverware, but there's only so graceless she can be when she can probably fit the whole thing in her muzzle at once.
So this is probably a full-size Dixie cup that makes it look like one of those little bathroom ones in her Metis hands.
Yep, she will very carefully, very gingerly accept this cup. Obviously, like, taking great pains not to actually touch the kinfolk in the process, making this even more deliciously awkward. Though in the end, she has the comparatively tiniest of Dixie cups. And if they have already done their own toasting, she will nonetheless raise the glass, or the Dixie cup in this case, and echo the earlier sentiment. To family. And toss it back.
And with that, Bailey will place his glass on the table, and we'll sit down and start eating again.
Yeah, Aiden will do the same. Still cherry red, basically.
And then Bailey will look over towards 10 Point. Was there anything else, Omega?
No, Raya. I apologize for interrupting your brunch. And she will begin the careful, retreat slink. The not turning away, but just kind of respectfully backing.
Bailey will kind of look. Did she take the steak with her?
Oh, the steak was probably gone in a chomp.
Oh, okay. Did she leave the plate?
She did. She kind of just placed it back on the porch there.
Okay. He'll kind of, as he'll pick up a roll and start buttering it, and he'll just kind of raise a knife towards the kinfolk, and one of the kinfolk will run over there and kind of grab the plate and take it back inside. And he'll go back to enjoying his Thursday morning brunch. So unless anyone else has anything else.
No, I think that's it. Aiden's just going to eat and blush profusely.
All right.
Perfect. Okay. So with that, 10 Point will depart to seek out Jacob so that she can have herself a conversation with a chaperone.
So fancy.
So with that, we will say thank you, players, for playing, and watchers for watching. And we will see you next time on another scene from the living world of darkness, Rage Across New York.